Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video and welcome to round 8 of our F125 Aston Martin Driver Career Mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here for the Monaco Grand Prix, the jewel in the Formula 1 crown, the one they all want to win, and probably slightly more alarmingly, the one where the AI are pretty slow inside F125. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live yesterday from Imola, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. But yeah, like I said, the two races I've done so far on this game here, I've won both of them. I mean, I'm sure by saying all this, I'm going to jinx myself ready for this weekend. If we take a look at the championship standings, Oscar Piastri 3 points ahead of his teammate Lando Norris. Verstappen still in P3 ahead of Hamilton, Tsunoda, and ourselves there. McLaren fairly comfortable in the constructors. We are currently sat in P5, not a million miles away from Mercedes. Fernando Alonso still slowly getting closer and closer to the top 10 overall in the championship. He has scored good consistent points recently, hasn't actually finished outside of the points since Japan back in round 3 of the year, so he's been doing a pretty good job with the team as well right now. I feel like all the parts are slowly coming together for Aston Martin, and hopefully that is going to continue on throughout this season. Get yourself subscribed if you're new. We're trying to hit 10k subs on the channel at the moment. But yeah, without further ado then, let's return here to Monte Carlo.
Now, if you ask anyone who's raced here, they'll tell you, nowhere in the world is more important to get a high qualifying position than here on the windy, chicaney, challenging streets of Monaco. We're about to set the grid for tomorrow's race, but potentially for the end of the race too. So welcome along, everyone, to the Monaco Grand Prix qualifying.
Well, I might have made my life a little bit more difficult here then in qualifying, because I forgot to put fresh components in the back of the car. So the team have very hurriedly have to have sorted it all out in this first run in Q1, and it means we've only got 3 minutes left on the clock to try and get some laps up together here. I might just have to do this as a bit of a banker and then bail out of it, and then effectively have made qualifying one shot for myself, which is probably a little bit risky here in Monte Carlo.
Down to P20.
I'll have to wait and see as to how competitive we are on this first run, but yeah, I really do not want to be starting this race from the back of the field, although admittedly it did work quite well for us in the Lewis Hamilton race that we did a couple of weeks ago. Oscar Piastri really struggling as well by the looks of it, down in P17 by the time he's finished off his first run. But we've basically got to decide by the time we get in towards Sector 3 whether we are finishing this lap or not. I made a bit of a mistake at the start of the lap, so I'm still kind of thinking that it's going to be worth diving back into the pit lane. We are purple though through Sector 2. Let's just try and keep this going. I reckon we've just got to try and finish this lap, and maybe it might still be pole position here as we try and thread the car through the final couple of turns. Is this going to be pole position out of nowhere here in qualifying? It's going to be a 1:10.5. Yes, yes it is. I've said it before, I'll say it again. The AI desperately need work here, but they might be able to find an improvement. Well, just in case the circuit is still ramping up, I'm going to try and go for a second run on this set of the soft compound tyres. So we've just done one fast, one slow, and then hopefully one more fast lap here. I don't even know how close George Russell is behind us currently in the standings, but of course we always see pace improve as you get towards the end of qualifying here, instantly finding a tenth of a second by the time we make it up through Massenet. So try and get the car tucked in through Casino Square there. I mean, right up towards the curbing. You would expect this Aston Martin to be good around here. But of course, we thought that at Imola, and then it was terrible. So try and shut the car off through to back. Slowly but surely, the time is slowly seeping away as bouncing out over the curbing again. Ooh, easy does it. A little bit of a lock up there, yeah. We're not going to improve on this last run. We are, I think, going to be one of the first cars, though, to finish this session. Is it still pole? I genuinely don't know what needs to be done with this game. It's 110 AI, and yet I've gone 1.1 seconds clear of anybody else in qualifying here in Monte Carlo. George Russell will line up second Charles Leclerc, Fernando Alonso on the second row. Clearly, the Aston Martin is a good car around this circuit, but I shouldn't be a second quicker than than the toughest AI inside the game. I'm just going to put that out there very, very early on. I mean, I don't really just... it's meant to be a dry Grand Prix. I don't want to spend 39 laps just at the front of the order. So I say we're going to take some grid penalties. We're going to start from the back, and we're going to try and make this race interesting.
A proper road race, and in the true meaning of the word. That's how Mr. Monaco, the late great Graham Hill, once described this iconic event. The cars we drive have come a long way in the intervening half-century, but still we race on those same public roads beside the Mediterranean. There's no victory more coveted than that of the Monaco Grand Prix. The prestigious Circuit de Monaco, then, is not all that dissimilar today to the layout that made its debut almost a century ago. It's 2 miles and 19 corners through the streets of Monte Carlo. And although the average lap speed of around 93 miles per hour is the lowest of the season, the tiny margins for error make it the natural habitat of the safety car. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. George Russell will begin today's event in pole position, and it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Fernando Alonso, Verstappen, Carlos Sainz, and Hamilton, Norris, Ocon, Lawson, and Oscar Piastri, Tsunoda, Gasly, Alex Albon, and Behrman, Bortoletto, Antonelli, Isaac Hadjar, and Nico Hülkenberg, Doohan, and Mr. Monaco. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today.
Well, we might look like a complete moron if by the end of this race I haven't ended up at least getting right back towards the front of the order. But like I said, it's just so silly. This game is fantastic in so many ways. But why on earth the AI are so bad here in Monaco? I shouldn't be able to go out, do an average at best lap, and claim pole position by a second against the fastest AI this game has to offer. But anyway, we're going to bolt on a set of hard compound tyres for the start, try and just take them as deep into the Grand Prix as we possibly can. Hopefully we're going to be able to make some moves in the process and get Aston Martin a good result either way. Alonso, he starts up in P3 now, so I'm hoping he can get a good race under his belt as well and try and carry the team to a big result. But the 5 red lights are on. Oh, and it's going to be lights out and away we go for the Monaco Grand Prix there. Almost hitting the anti-stall, so be nice and careful as we make our way in towards turn 1. Again, there's plenty that can be lost and not a lot that can be gained at the start of a GP there. We'll try and get the switch on Jack Doohan there up the hill. And maybe we can have a look past Nico Hülkenberg as well. Yeah, nothing happening there as Doohan going back around our outside. What a move that is by the young Australian at the start of the GP. Careful of the concertinaing up though. It was all Hülkenberg. I thought he was going to leave an avenue down around the outside, but he decided against it. What is going on there? We pick up a tiny bit of end plate damage. Hopefully that's not going to cause us any problems. It's down the inside. Even more wheel banging between myself and the other green machine. So there you go. Monaco. Oh, that is here. The horns there, just in the background lightly out in the harbour. But we made up a couple of spots then. We picked up, like I said, the tiniest bit of front wing damage. So hopefully that shouldn't cost us too much time early on. Looks like Alonso, importantly as well, has hung on to that P3 off for the start. But George Russell, I believe, leading his first laps ever then of the Monaco Grand Prix. So I'm sure he will be savouring that up at the front of the order. So it's this corner where the AI are terrible. They just cannot get the power down out of Larascas. That's where they always struggle. I mean, we weren't even trying then, and I almost went into the back of Isaac Hadjar. Around the outside of Hadjar, through the hairpin. Okay. Wasn't actually, again, planning on trying to do that there against the young Frenchman, but I guess we'll say thank you very much. And up then into P17 of this race. Like I said, it's just bizarre how the AI are so good in traction zones generally on this game, but then they come to probably the most traction-dominated circuit on the entire calendar, and they're just terrible. I mean, Andrea Kimi Antonelli, he's had a fairly quiet start to the season, but with his teammate up in P1, I'm sure he'd be hoping he had a bit more pace this weekend earlier on. To the inside will go of the young Italian. And there we go, up into P16 of this race. I mean, early on, We are just trying to, you know, pick cars off as best as we can. But so we've got a fair bit of time to try and make our way through. As long as we can average 1 a lap, we should be good. Antonelli there, I think, went into the side of me. Down through the hairpin that time round. Clearly wanted to try and have a bit of a look. But not quite sure where he was expecting there to be any room. As obviously we pulled off 1 move on him last lap. Hopefully we're going to do the same thing to Behrman now. That's the other thing. I don't think the AI really use their battery anywhere around this circuit either. So you can get a run pretty much everywhere. We saw at Monaco a couple of weekends ago. You can't do anything in these modern cars, but in F125 it's slightly different. Come on then, Bortoletto then, up the hill, very slow as well, to the inside we'll go. Oh, just being careful not to bang wheels there with the Sauber driver. So he does make a tiny bit of contact with our rear tyre. Lucky not to pick up a puncture from that one, because that could have happened. Oh, we've got yellows, someone's dropping out further behind. I think that's Hulkenberg. Yep, Nico Hulkenberg already with a mechanical failure then in this Grand Prix. So a very disappointing, very early end to his afternoon here in Monte Carlo. He's going to take the Nico Rosberg escape road through Upper Mirabeau. Sadly, no safety car or anything like that. Not that I think it makes much difference early on. To the inside of Pierre Gasly. Like I said, we've just got to try and make 1 overtake of lap so far. But to be fair to Pierre, he put up more of a fight than most. And Alex Albon then in the Williams. I mean, they're definitely not using the battery, are they, through there? How on earth am I able to get such a run on a Williams car? And I'm, you know, kind of not getting a better run off the corner or anything like that. They just have got no straight line speed around this venue. The team have very kindly asked me if I can stay ahead of Gasly until lap 12. I think that should be quite easy. Well, this might actually be the first lap of this Grand Prix where I haven't made an overtake yet. Yuki Tsunoda, clearly in that Red Bull, able to put up a bit of a fight. Till we get down in towards the final couple of corners there. Oh, Tsunoda wallops the inside wall there. We get put in the outside wall, and are we going to make a move still? Yes, we are. Can we get around his outside, though, on the brakes in towards turn 1? Got to give him the room there. We bang wheels again. We should now get the power down up the hill. Oh, squeezy between the pair of us. Probably the most wheel-to-wheel racing you'll ever see here in Monte Carlo. But we're almost back into the points already. Oscar Piastri then, looks like for the first time this season, he will lose the World Championship lead today. If things were to finish like this. Lando Norris running a little bit higher up the order, but Verstappen in his Red Bull would actually take points out of the pair of them in the World Championship right now. And we might be about to relegate Oscar Piastri out of the points. I think he's scored in every single race so far this year, but doesn't look likely to happen today. Especially when he tries to fight back down the outside through the chicane there. But, I mean, Liam Lawson seemed to be holding up a little bit. So we get a bit of a wobble through the chicane. Can we try and look to the inside for Larascas? Down the inside we'll go. Oh, a little bit of banging there. But, you know, it's Liam Lawson. He would do the same to me. And I think, therefore, that's fair. Oh, there we go. Starting to see a few cars into the pit lane then. So the medium compound runners looking to try and take the hards to the end of the GP. I was enjoying just a couple of laps of clear air before we've inevitably rocked up to the back of Esteban Ocon in this Grand Prix. I believe that's Carlos Sainz as well in his Williams, who's been doing really well this season, running up I think in P4, obviously courtesy now of Verstappen's pit stop. See Ocon though, yeah, the Haas man, he's always gone well around this venue. Got a podium here I believe for Alpine a couple of years ago, didn't he? But I don't think that's going to happen today unless something quite crazy happens. We have admittedly already seen him win a race with Haas so far this year, and I believe that team, is still riding high off of that. Has someone gone? I think one of the Ferraris has spanned. Charles Leclerc, his Monaco Grand Prix curse continues in the wall for Charles Leclerc. He binned it at Miami a couple of races ago, so no idea what is happening with him. But if the VSC's still out, then I guess we've got to try and take the opportunity to dive in and bolt on a set of medium tyres to see us through the next stage of the Grand Prix there. Leclerc will definitely be pitting. I assume obviously just hit the wall with the inside wheel there. Oh, what is going on? Norris into the pits. Esteban Ocon opts to stay out there, so that's worked out really nicely for Norris because this was about his pit lap anyway. But on to a set then of the mediums.
Maintain your pace until we get the green flags. VSC ending, wait for the greens.
Not too worried about the VSC obviously coming in. We will just have to make a load more overtakes again, but one person or a couple of people that has really screwed over Max Verstappen and Oscar Piastri. Not able to use their fresh tyres. There is Verstappen. Will Norris get the jump on him? No, he won't. But we are right behind the pair of them. I mean, instantly these guys are stuck now. Behind Andrea Kimi Antonelli. And I believe Ollie Behrman as well there. Around the outside of Norris. Then we'll get the inside through Portier. Will we see Verstappen at least try and do something against Antonelli?
We've got to warm up our tyres and get the most out of it. Come on.
I mean, look at that. Oh, Verstappen would definitely be getting the run on him as he almost binned it completely. Just locked up the rear slightly there and was lucky to hang on to it. A bit like Zhou Guanyu a few years back around this venue. But as we fold our way through the final few corners, Alonso into the pit lane. We've got to try and get a run on Verstappen now to the inside. Down at Larascas. And again, got to be so careful of the AI parking the bus through the exit of the corner. Can we get a run on Antonelli? Back in towards turn 1. There is Ocon, so we've got the jump on him. There is Alonso. So we haven't quite got the jump on our teammate then, but around the outside of Kimi Antonelli through turn 1. And now Ollie Behrman is in an Aston Martin sandwich. Whoa, Behrman. Again, the AI, just as they try and tip it through the hairpin there, seem to nudge the brake again after they've rotated the car in. There's no way I should be able to go round the outside through the hairpin against the AI like that. Not with that much ease anyways. Alonso now a little bit stuck behind Gabriel Bortoleto. Team have told us I need to try and get the jump on our teammate. Bortoleto, big wobble there, down in towards the final couple of corners as the two Aston Martins go wheel banging through the final couple of corners. Alonso did kind of admittedly jump out the way a little bit for us there. But I believe, we are up now into a net podium in this Grand Prix. Where is George Russell? He's just up the hill then. So I believe he's already got the jump. There's Gabriel Bortoleto down the inside. We'll get another one. Pierre Gasly in the Alpine. I mean, his day at the moment looking a little bit better on paper. I don't know why Raskas has suddenly become my favourite place to overtake, but I'm not going to complain. There we go, Sainz into the pit lane then, so we are now going to be up into the podium places. I forgot Leclerc's obviously a lap down, or nearly a lap down. So Hamilton leading the way, but I'm pretty certain Russell has pit and he hasn't. There we go, official confirmation. Lewis Hamilton then diving into the pit lane. Still seems quite early off a set of hard compound tyres, so I'm not quite sure whether he's trying to two-stop. Yeah, Lewis Hamilton is two-stopping this race. So that's a bit of a, that's a Ferrari strategy.
Changing mode on your MFD, or lift a little with gentle braking into corners to recharge it.
To be fair, I don't think we're home and dry just yet, although we are still closing in on George Russell. I'm going to have to make another pit stop in this race. The mediums, I don't think will safely get us through to the flag, but we're probably not going to need to pit until close to lap 30, lap 28 or so. So we've got to try and get past George before then. But in many ways, I'm slightly disappointed I haven't got past Russell before we got to half distance in this Grand Prix. But, we're going to have to deal with that. Still try and get past him pretty quickly here. Alonso, obviously because of Leclerc's issues, is now up in, obviously, P3, despite the fact we've gone by. So you hear that. They're still running many seconds a lap quicker than George Russell at this stage of the afternoon. But of course, we've got to get past him, run away, pit, and then catch him again. As well, you just see both of us kicking out the back end of the car. It's like Senna and Mansell around these streets all those years ago. But unlike Mansell back then, I feel like we're going to be able to get a jump on our race leader. So I just see that trying to throw the car down the hill. Just little steps of oversteer, everything like that. But to try and get the power down, through the tunnel we will go. Maybe I've got to ban myself from using overtake around this circuit. Perhaps that's a future idea for a challenge inside this game. But either way, we are through and we're back up in... Well, we're up into the lead for the first time today. I've got to just pull out a gap over Russell by about lap 27 is my guess. Oh, there we go. Verstappen. Okay. Max Verstappen back into the pit lane then. So I think a lot of the AI are planning to try and do the two-stop here. I don't believe Russell or Alonso is trying to go for it. But maybe we're going to see like the likes of Lando Norris and co. also having to make another stop, before the end of the Grand Prix. See, these medium tyres now are feeling rather worn out at this stage. But when I pit, I would like to come out ahead of Yuki. That's the goal. There we go. Lando Norris then also into the pit lane. Yuki Tsunoda's in. How many AI? Is it forced to stop in this game? Have they made it so the AI have to make 2 pit stops here as well? Like, has that been implemented? I really have got no idea. I can't remember if... I know because obviously there was changeable conditions, so it didn't matter in the My Team career mode as to what happened. I guess we'll know if Russell and Alonso pit. Either way, it is very confusing. Our tyre warning light has now flashed up, and the rear end of this car is starting to feel a lot more slidey as we get towards the end of lap 27. Team, though, are on the same page as us. They want us into the pit lane at the end of this one. So nice and tidy on the way in. Make sure we don't get done for speeding on the way into the pit lane here. But will we see Russell and perhaps Alonso at some point also into the pit lane? Russell stays out. I think this might be a slow stop. Nope, we're okay. We should come out ahead, though, of Ocon and Carlos Sainz, though. So we're definitely going to be up still in the podium places. It's just going to be about trying to get around Alonso clean and tidy. I do... Really?
See these tyres through to the end now.
That's ridiculous. It just put me straight in the wall on the exit of the pit lane there. That is rather peculiar. Again, hopefully that's not going to cost us too much. We've got 14 seconds, though, to reel in against Russell. And instantly, I'm noticing the understeer. Oh, George Russell's in. Oh, dearie me. I tried to make this race more interesting for ourselves. Alonso's in as well, then. So, no idea what is going on towards the end of the Grand Prix. I think the AI have to two-stop this race as well. I think, yeah, they are forced into doing it inside F1 25. So, I guess we've kind of made the difference here, and it looks like we are going to win this one. But certainly still not in the way I would have wanted them to. What's the gap to Russell? 8.5 seconds, the gap to George Russell. As will Fernando stay in P3? Looks like he has done. So yeah, let's just try and bring the car home then. It looks like unless something crazy happens, we are going to complete a last of first challenge here in Monte Carlo again. There we go, another new fastest lap.
New fastest lap of the race.
I'm hoping now we can just cut to the checkered flag. Well, if by magic then making our way towards the final lap of the Monaco Grand Prix. I must admit, you know, we've said F1 25 is better than F1 24 in pretty much every conceivable way. But yeah, that game certainly did the Monaco Grand Prix better than F1 25 can right now. Like I said, they just need to tweak, you know, the AI don't seem to use battery. They just seem to kind of bogged down in a couple of the corners as well, but I shouldn't be able to go from the back of the grid to the front and 17 seconds clear of in an Aston Martin against maximum AI, and it's a little bit of a shame because it does kind of take away some of the magic of, you know, the Monaco Grand Prix is still tough, it's brutal, it's unforgiving inside F1, but yeah, you can just blitz your way through the fields inside this year's game.
22.0 seconds.
Let's see if we can hear the horns, though, when we make our way down through the final sector of this GP. We definitely could have pit again and come out and got back past George Russell. So it certainly has been a race to remember for us. There they all are in the background. You can hear them again. Like I said, I think unless they change kind of the way the AI are here, I'm going to struggle to throw too many Monaco Grand Prix into career modes. Otherwise, it is going to be a little bit boring. But through the final few corners here today, we're going to go 3 from 3 inside F1 25. Aston Martin, their first ever victory as well in Formula 1. The green machine, British Racing Green, is back on top. That you love to see.
Absolutely awesome. Just amazing, mate. Well done.
They've done it then. They've won here in Monaco with an emphatic performance and a victory they can be proud of for many years to come.
They had to be decisive with their overtaking today as they worked their way through the field. And those kind of race victories are so enjoyable because it's not just like winning from the front. They really had to work for it today.
The Aston Martin team will be very happy with today's performance. And of course, the final result. Another display of excellent driving and excellent teamwork. And a well-deserved first-place finish.
Well, there we are then, P1 from the back of the field here, with fastest lap as well, of course. It has been a dominant day here from Monte Carlo. George Russell, though, ahead of Fernando Alonso. An Aston Martin double podium. We cannot complain about that one. Clearly, the car was good around here as well, but I think, you know, Alonso and I made the difference today. Verstappen in P4 ahead of Norris, Tsunoda, Ocon, Sainz, Oscar Piastri and Lewis Hamilton will round out your top 10 there. Both V-carbs narrowly missing out on points, and I believe it was just, Nico Hülkenberg who failed to see the checkered flag. Charles Leclerc, his Monte Carlo curse will live on, but admittedly, this one was completely his own doing. Lando Norris, though, for the first time this season, now leads the way at the top of the table, 5 points ahead of Oscar Piastri, who has a further 10-point buffer ahead of Verstappen. We are back up to P4 ahead of Hamilton and Yuki Tsunoda, and it looks like, for the first time, Fernando Alonso up to P11, still 1 point behind Esteban Ocon, as Charles Leclerc is just having a terrible year down in P9 in his Ferrari. Constructors-wise, Aston Martin, we're up to third as well. They're 3 points in it between us, Ferrari and Mercedes as well, so I'd be very, very happy if we can hang on to that by the end of the year. McLaren still with a 65-point buffer over Red Bull, who are looking pretty safe in P2. Thank you all so much for watching, though. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed. Let me know what I can do to make the Monaco Grand Prix exciting down in the comments below. But yeah, we'll be back very soon, ready for the Canadian Grand Prix.